lost all control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
Well, hi, everybody. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I am here to keep you warm and fuzzy and entertained. You'll have to do the fuzzy on your own, but I'll do my best for the entertaining part. But I am not alone here. I would like to welcome my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard, to the show.
Hello.
Hello, then.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello.
All right.
Did you say hello? I
did.
said hello.
Gotcha. How's everything in your world, buddy?
Snowy. Did you see those pictures?
I did.
Oh, my God. That was like, oh, my God.
I know. I posted some of my own
I saw that, yeah.
on the Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. You can see pictures of both
Oh, it's crazy.
Don's world and my world, which are currently buried under about 3 feet of snow.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, in the big picture probably isn't a lot, but when you're shoveling it by the scoop, it's freaking a lot. It's a lot. It's horrible, horrible stuff, but it's beautiful. It's just gorgeous out here. It really is like living in a postcard, but it's a postcard you have to shovel, and that removes the fun.
That removes all pleasantries.
Good.
Well, did you see the picture I posted from the cafe the other day?
I don't think so.
I was sitting at the cafe, and I was having my coffee and having a little breakfast, and after shoveling for like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there, I look out the window, I'm like, oh, I need to take a picture of this. And so I posted it up on Facebook and said, you know, this is the view I have from the cafe. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Was it lovely?
Great. It was lovely.
You know, I was looking at the mountains today as I was driving around, and just the way the mountains have that dusting of snow on them, and it's just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it really is stunning, ladies and gentlemen. It's cold, so it's beautiful. Let's put the goods and the bads here. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful, but it's cold. You have to shovel it. It's slippery, and it turns into cold water at some point if it gets into your boots, and it's really miserable. So I'm still thinking, it's more not good than good, but it's very stunning.
So it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. It's four bads to one good.
So far. I mean, now when I was younger and I was a skier, I downhill snow skied all the time when I was a kid. I loved it. I did into, my late teens until I shredded my knee. And that was my first not fun winter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they just never got better.
Okay.
So there I am, ladies and gentlemen. Not that this is my biography, but I got a microphone, so you get to hear whatever I put into it. And that's how we roll here on the Portal. But this is the Paranormal Portal. We are here in our 2-hour Wednesday show, so you get us for 2 full hours of paranormal fun.
No breaks.
Well, there might be. I might have to use the loo. So we might do a break, but it's only in case of emergency pull break. It's one of those. It's one of those.
Sorry, we got to go potty.
Yeah, I mean, I love you all.
We haven't done one of those in a while, though.
No, not on Wednesdays. It's usually a straight run to the finish. So, which is fine. It's a great time. And the only reason we do take the breaks, if you're kind of newer to the show and caught Friday and Saturday shows, we're on the network, so we have to coordinate with the network breaks. So that's why we put together those video segments and, music for your listening and viewing pleasure, so you don't have to sit and listen to commercials on the network we're attached to. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. But it's our Wednesday night of fun, and we are here to entertain you. So I hope you're all ready, because we're going in. Okay. So, Hetty, you say you're all females over you.
No, are all the females.
Are all the females over you? You're right. I've never had that problem, but I appreciate the sentiment. I think that would be lovely if they all were, but as far as I know, they're not, Hetty.
He's got a harem.
You're right. I just got harem pits. That's about it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that sentiment, though. So welcome to the show, guys. We're going to be doing 2 hours, as I said before, of paranormal fun. So let's see what kind of paranormal fun we can get into. And I got to farm through my tabs here a little bit.
If you didn't have 40 of them just on one screen.
I know. So I know. I don't know. I was going to show this picture, but I don't really know what to do with it or where it's from or anything, so I'm not going to do that.
Oh, that one? Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? What do you think? Is that something?
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's like putting somebody on Front Street.
Yeah, and I don't know any of the story behind it, so I guess that's probably not the thing to do. I guess the best thing to start with, Don, is see if there's anything going on in the hot sheets.
Hot sheets!
Yeah, hot sheets, ladies and gentlemen.
Hump
Again,
day hot sheets.
It's the hot sheets, if you're not familiar with the show, are the singular40ian.com. It's a site for Fortean news, and the Fortean news is awesome over there. They do a great job. It's the Waylands put this site on, and I have no affiliation with them, but I love their site. I love checking it out and seeing what they're doing and what they're reporting on, because they just do a phenomenal job. So if you're ever looking for some Fortean news and information, check out the singular40ian.com. Fortean is how you spell Fortean. And Fortean just, means bizarre, paranormal, weird stuff, right, Don?
Yes.
That's kind of a nutshell of what Fortean means.
That's everybody in the chat is Fortean.
We're all Fortean.
Hopefully 40 and half.
I can't afford any of you. But anyway, let's see what's going on over here.
What is wrong with us?
I don't know. There's just too long. This show is not long enough to get into that, Don.
That's why we need to start doing the Patreon, so they can see behind the...
You guys wouldn't believe the amount of fun we have as we throw together each show. It is a bunch of fun. It always is fun, isn't it, Don?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my friend willing to call in tomorrow and talk about the Blue Man. Okay, Taco.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Yeah, look forward to that call. You can certainly call in tomorrow night. We will do it then. And hello to everybody. How many are with us, Don?
Oh, gosh. We got 42 watching now, and lots of chatters. Lots of chatters. You want me to do the roll call?
Why not?
Roll call! We got Mr. Barry, Ms. Beth. We've got the Blue Line Bigfoot Boys. That would be Adam and Jake. I know Jake's at the keyboard, though, because Jake's, you can tell when Jake's on. He's got a special spelling.
He's got his own language cooking. It's
true.
Pretty wild. Takes me a while.
Yeah, no doubt. Bomber's here. Miss Deb Varner. Did she do 3 hours the other night?
Yeah, we did 3. We did actually a little over, but we stuck to the plan for the most part. The only reason we did a little longer was somebody was there but wasn't there, and we thought they were sleeping, but they were actually just chatting, so they weren't listening to their phone apparently.
Dub 45 is here. Elaine, Miss Gemini Moon, Glenn O'Kirk. How are ya? Hetty Lamar is here. I am Pam. Isaac Mogg is here. Nessie Monster, how are ya? Noli 420. You don't show up enough. You got to show up more. Ruger Ridge is here. Is that Sheila Ruth and Stacy, Private Eye Paranormal. Hi, how are you? I know you've been popping in, and so nice to have a first name, though. Taco Violator B, the Pharmacy Seed Network. Now, his name's Carlton. Is that right?
Yeah, Carlton.
Yes,
Yep,
absolutely.
yep.
And then Mr. Ken Rotman from Down Under. And then, of course, Mr. World Bigfoot Radio, Duke Sullivan, his bad self.
His own bad self.
His own bad self. That's it.
Yep.
Did somebody pop in while I was
Big Rob
reading?
did.
Big Rob? Big Rob.
Big Rob showed up. So
there it is.
we've got a good
Bigfoot.
what?
Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, too.
Oh, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Good.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay, we got Big Rob and Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. There's a lot of Robs around.
I noticed that Cha-Cha has been really late lately.
She's on cha-cha time. You can't always schedule things around that.
Squatch Lady PA, how are ya?
Hey,
there
Isaac.
you go. Did I say Isaac? I hope I said Isaac.
Isaac says hello.
Okay, cool. All right, well, there it is.
Actually, he said Brent, but I'll just translate that. So, all right, let's get into the hot sheets here and see what's going on. Okay, let me see. Where did we leave off? Oh, woman reports diamond-shaped UFO.
No way.
UFO followed 2 years later by winged humanoid sighting on the same road. That's, again, with the winged humanoids.
Yeah, what is up with that?
Yeah. I don't know, but that's the thing. And I tell you what, the Singular Fortean has really dialed into those. They're getting all these reports, and they seem to be really pursuing that. And I hope they figure something out, find out what the hell's going on. That is creepy. And this report apparently comes from Lon Strickler of Phantoms and Monsters. Spoke to a woman recently who said that she witnessed a diamond-shaped UFO, again, near Rockford, Illinois, in 2000, the year 2000, followed by a winged humanoid sighting in the same area 2 years later. On the evening of January 1st, 2000, the witness and her son were traveling on Spring Creek Road in Rockford, Illinois, Strickler said. As they approached Rock Creek, they both observed a large diamond-shaped craft hovering above the creek. The craft was brightly lit, and there was a distinct beam of light coming from the bottom towards the creek. Think they need some water or what?
No doubt.
What? Beam up some water, Scotty. She slowed the car, and the craft suddenly cut off the beam. And at the same time, the craft slowly ascended into the night sky. I hope they were done. The witness and her son had lingering dreams after the incident, and both started to notice paranormal activity around them. I wonder if they got tuned up or something. 2 years later, she had another anomalous encounter in the same area. And then on October 9th, in 2002, at around 8 p.m., she again was driving on Spring Creek Road near Rock Creek, and she observed a winged shape approaching her head on. And by the time this flying anomaly got near her, it swooped up and over her car. The witness stated that the winged being was humanoid in shape with two leg-like structures trailing below it. And the wingspan was so wide that it literally blocked out all the street lights. And she estimated that it was 6 feet high and black in color and had large wings at approximately 12 feet in total width, said Strickler. She immediately stopped the car, got out and looked down the road, and behind her, and he continued, the winged being had vanished, but she noticed that the trees were moving as if huge gusts of wind had gone through them. She also stated that the being never flapped its wings. It seemed to be propelled by an unknown force. She has experienced a sense of consternation. You don't hear that word very often, do you?
That's a big word. Yeah, that's a 50-cent word.
Some consternation. I took some Metamucil, though. Oh, wait, that might be a different word.
That might be why it's propelled.
And anxiety ever since the incident, even though she now lives in Tennessee, said Strickler, of the encounters. This witness experience is reminiscent of a report taken by the Singular Fortean Society, in which a Wakanda, Illinois woman said she encountered a mysterious beam of light in 2014, followed 2 years later by a winged humanoid sighting in the same location. Are you serious? Wow.
Apparently so.
What are the odds of that?
In Illinois?
Well,
pretty good.
Yes. Rockford is approximately 50 miles west of Wakanda and just over 65 miles west of Lake Michigan. There it is with Lake Michigan again.
Something about that lake.
I know. I don't know what's going on.
There's got to be a portal there.
It's all that iron ore. It's been the location of several reported winged humanoid sightings to date. These sightings are considered to be part of the Lake Michigan Mothman phenomena.
Yeah.
Now, that's a newer thing to me, and I really didn't know there was a Lake Michigan Mothman phenomena until I found the Singular 40. And I mean, I honestly had never, I of course heard of Point Pleasant and the sightings there, but I really had never heard of it coming out of Illinois before. So I find that incredibly interesting.
I think they co-opted it.
Well, that could be. Maybe they just thought they should have some too.
They needed some tourism.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Chicago's not all that great anymore.
No, they got a lot of other issues, so might as well have some flying people as well.
We can send him Michigan Man or Florida Man. Michigan Man.
Exactly.
We'll send him all the cheese.
Oh, very nice. I just got a nice email.
Oh, nice.
From a person named Maura. I'll have to read that later.
Sweet.
Very cool. Let's see. This is the latest in a new string of Mothman sightings from within a few 100-mile radius surrounding Lake Michigan, including every state bordering the Great Lake. These sightings ostensibly began in the spring of 2017, but more historical accounts are being reported as more people become aware of the phenomena. Sightings of weird winged beings around Lake Michigan have been reported at all hours, often in or near a park and around water. Witnesses consistently describe large gray or black bat or bird-like creature, although in a small number of cases, the creature was described as insect-like. What was that movie, Mimic? Was that Mimic? Mm-hmm. Where those like bug things were actually, they looked like people, but then they would eat people. They mimic the people.
I don't know. I know of the movie Mimic. I don't.
Maybe that's not the right movie. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys remember, I mean, it's not that old. Maybe 10, 15, 20 years of this. There was these murders were happening, and people couldn't figure out where these missing people were going, and they kind of tracked it down to these insects that were living subterraneanly, but they had evolved to look like people.
Oh my God.
And so they would be in crowds of people, and they would be right next to people, and people couldn't tell that they weren't. And then the human look would be looking like a trench coat and a hat, and suddenly the exoskeleton would spread, and there'd be fangs and claws and stuff, and they'd grab people and drag them away. It was absolutely horrifying.
Wow. Remind me to tell you about the three-headed cockroaches, but go ahead, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're right. Mimic was a big bug guy. Mr. Clickety. Yeah, was that what the spoons and stuff, Ken? I think that's the spoon kid could mimic it and stuff. Yeah. There was a kid that was, I don't know if he was autistic or whatever, but he would always click spoons, and he could mimic their sound, and so they never bothered him. He would have these bug things walking all around him, and he could click the spoons so they sounded like them, and they never bothered him. So, yeah, really cool. But yeah, I think that's the one, Ken. Yeah, that's the one I think I'm talking about here. That's the one I'm talking about, huh? Quit busting my chops.
Hey, why are you busting my chops, eh?
Yeah, what do you do? So anyway, there's a lot of these reports coming out. I don't know what it means. I don't know why there's a bunch of moth people over in Illinois, around the Lake Michigan area. I don't know what's going on in Lake Michigan, but something is happening there.
I'm telling you, there's a portal there. There's got to be. It's the only answer.
It could be, or it could be. Could these things have? Is there some kind of mining operation going on over there that these things would have lived?
Oh, that we opened up a hive and
or something, or there's they maybe dug down too deep and got into some
Balrog.
Yeah. You have found a Balrog.
You've scrolled so far, you've come across a Balrog.
Yeah, I posted that on the...
Was that you?
Yeah, on Facebook.
That was awesome.
Yep, you've scrolled so far, you've come across a Balrog. Yeah, I don't know, but where did these things just suddenly come from? Or maybe they've always been here, but people are just finally speaking up because it's okay to do that. Now, I will say that we are at a point in our society, as our Western society anyway, where people are actually starting to have conversations they've never had before, talking about these kind of things that they'd experienced or witnessed and stuff. So it's pretty powerful stuff. But
good point. Good point, Duke. Duke says there's a secret base under Michigan, so a deep underground military base. Quite possible. I mean, they're all over the United States.
I know I've seen a lot of dumb around the U.S. Sorry, it was just too easy. There's a low-hanging fruit, huh?
That's called just shutting the door on your way through.
Oh no, it could be. I always think about that. Is like some of these cryptids we're seeing. Of course, are they experimental? Are they something that got away that just wasn't supposed to? I don't know.
Dr. Moreau's Island, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what's going on. I mean, who knows? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? But the reports keep coming in regarding this.
And they just don't stop because Illinois is apparently a paranormal hotspot.
Yeah, well, there's more coming, but that was the first one.
Crap.
We've got several, apparently. They've been busy over at the Singular 14. But, I think I must have read some of these. Fleets of mysterious drones cause consternation.
Where's that word again?
Consternation. I think it's the Waylands. They like the consternation word. I like it too. I think it's a cool word, but I honestly haven't heard it for a long time. Sounds like something out of an old Western. All right. Confound it. Tarnation, consternation. I don't know. It was funny in my head, ladies and gentlemen. That's where I live. Fleets of mysterious drones cause consternation among residents of Colorado and Nebraska. And I have you heard about this, Don?
No.
Well, apparently people thought they were seeing UFOs and formations of UFOs, and now the prevailing theory is that they're some kind of grouping of drones that are flying around. Now, it could just boil down to be some college group, or some drone group, doing, synchronized flying or something. I mean, really, it could.
Drone racing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. You never know. But there appears to be these groups of rather large-sized drones. And I don't know if they are drones or if they are UFOs or what they are, but let's read the article, I guess, rather than me trying to paraphrase it. But that's what I had heard, is that people are seeing all these anomalous lights in the sky, thinking the initial reports were, geez, people are seeing formations of UFOs. And now the theory seems to have evolved to being drones, but whose drones? Is it a military exercises going on with drones? Right. Or is it, some civilian group, or what the hell's going on with these drones? So let's see what this article says, though. And it starts out by saying, authorities in a corner of rural northeastern Colorado and western Nebraska are at a loss following a series of reported mystery drones flying over several counties across the two states. Phillips County Sheriff Thomas Elliott told the Denver Post that the drones have been flying over his county in Colorado since around December 17th. According to Elliott, the drones fly steadily in squares of about 25 miles at an altitude of about 200 to 300 feet.
Wow.
So far, there have been at least 17 reported drones, and they tend to come out at night between 7 and 10 p.m.
And they come out at night. Oh, yeah.
The drones are said to have up to 6-foot wingspans, strobing white lights accompanied by red, blue, and green lights, and fly too high to make a discernible noise. I don't know if 200 to 300 feet is that high for a drone, is it?
200 or 300 feet?
Yeah.
It's not that high, no.
Well, how would that be so high to make any discernible noise?
I don't know.
Well, they've been doing a grid search. A grid pattern, Elliott said. They fly one square and then they fly another square. Sedgwick County Sheriff Carl Britton reported the same thing happening in his area, a phenomena he's seen for himself. Britton consulted with Elliott to determine if any laws are being broken, but so far none seem to be. We have no idea at this point, Britton said. No leads or no thoughts. It's just an odd phenomena. Similarly to Elliott and Britton, Washington County Sheriff John Stivers has received reports from concerned citizens of fleets of drones numbering between 6 and 30 at a time. It's both weird and concerning, he said. It would be kind of nice to know what they're doing. Lincoln County Sheriff Tom Nestor expressed concern that the drones might collide midair with other aircraft after receiving reports in his area near the end of December. Local sheriff's offices have been inundated with calls from concerned citizens like Wyatt Harmon and Chelsea Arnold, who recently went on NBC's Today Show to share their sighting of the drones, complete with a video. Wow. I'd love to show it, but we don't have that permission. So the couple said they pursued the drones for about 15 miles as they flew above Harmon's Land in Washington County, Colorado, sometimes driving as fast as 70 miles per hour in their pursuit. They can sit there and hover, and they can descend really fast. They can take off very fast, said Harmon. It's more unnerving than anything. So far, the U.S. Air Force, Army, Drug Enforcement Administration, and Federal Aviation Administration have all denied any knowledge of the drones. The drones could belong to a private enterprise, but there's no way to know unless these concerned party comes forward or is somehow discovered. Drone pilots aren't required to file flight plans, explained the FAA, unless they're flying in controlled airspace like the area surrounding an airport. However, under a proposed rule change, law enforcement, federal security agencies, and the FAA would be allowed to remotely identify drones that fly through their jurisdictions. The proposed rule would be open for public comment for 60 days, and the FAA said the FAA in a statement. Conspiracy theories involving Mexican drug cartels and extraterrestrial visitors have become more popular, too, as the mystery continues. Local authorities are asking residents not to contact them unless they spot a landed drone or if they can provide information regarding the drone's origins. They also strongly advise against anyone attempting to shoot down a drone, since doing so is a federal offense. I had no idea that was the case. Huh.
Well, it's a military drone, yeah. I mean, come on.
So what do you do, Don? How do you trap a drone, I wonder?
I don't know, but if you have a baseball bat.
Yeah.
You know what? What movie was it? The one with Matthew McConaughey and he goes into space. Interstellar.
Okay.
He the one in one of the movies, in that movie, in one of the scenes, they're chasing down in an Indian-made, Indian-made drone, weather drone or something like that, and it's like been circling the earth for like 10 years, and the battery was running out, and they caught it, and well, it crashed, and they went and got it. But
nice.
That's how you get it. You wait until the little suckers fall out the sky.
That's what's curious, is that these drones that they're reporting now, most drones that consumers buy can be in the air for like 15 or 20 minutes. It's not like they can carry an extraordinarily large charge to stay aloft for these long periods of time. So this doesn't sound like your Walmart drones. These are not the normal kind of drones by the description. Not only that, but the size is so much bigger at 6 feet approximately in wingspan. That's pretty huge. Most drones are maybe 20, 24 inches max in size, so they're not so large. So I don't know.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to talk to that guy I know that's got a drone. He's got a 4K. I think he's got a 4K camera on it.
Nice.
Right here locally. Yeah.
Very nice. I would actually like for us to get one for the portal to do some drone shots.
Yes, I understand.
But it's on the list, on the bucket list. But anyway, yeah, that's definitely a curious one. I don't know how these things are just flying around for these extended periods of time. So I find it hard to believe it's not somehow military related, or some other development. Maybe a company is developing drones. Maybe it's some kind of mapping deal or something. I don't know, but it's very strange. I don't know. Curious, Don. Any thoughts?
Strange. No, it doesn't. I mean, it's not paranormal.
That's true. It's
but
really not.
It is very interesting because, it brings up the ideas, is some of this military hardware, reverse engineered?
Right.
Things like that, that makes it fly in weird ways and do things kind of weird.
Right. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're up there for so long, they're so big and they're flying in grids is very strange.
Right.
So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, is it paranormal? Maybe not. Maybe, probably not. But it is peculiar, and we reserve the right to also cover the peculiar.
Yes. Because we are the faces of the paranormal.
So there's another cool one here. It's a photo of mysterious aquatic animal sparks speculation in South Carolina. Mysterious aquatic. Oh, look at that. I think we could show this because it's a photo.
I'm sure you could.
I'm sure we will. Let me read the article first, though. South Carolina resident Jessica Plate. It's Plate, so that's plate.
China.
It's not China, Don. It's a plate. Sorry. Posted a photograph to social media site Nextdoor. There's a social media called Nextdoor. I don't, do I?
No, you don't.
Is somebody trying to call in?
No, but I just looked over and went, oh.
Oh, well. Let's connect the phone lines, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I knew I was forgetting something. I remembered to turn the show on. That's a pretty good start.
I remembered to push the go button.
Yeah. Hello. Boop, boop, boop. Just love that Skype ring. That's it. We're connected. Okay, so the phone lines are available. If anybody felt like using them. So where the hell was I? Oh, yeah. Lake monster, some kind of lake monster.
Yes.
This is some speculating about a monster in Lake Wylie. The Wylie Lake Monster? Pilot asked the photos, or Plate. Plate asked the photos accompanying text. I know this picture isn't the greatest, but tonight while walking around the lake in our neighborhood, we saw this 3 to 4 foot thing moving in the water. At first, I thought it was a dog or deer. Shoot, maybe even a scuba diver. The wake it made was enormous. Please, does anyone know what it is? That wake is not enormous. It is, I mean, let's see. Plate took the photo at Sunset Point on Lake Wylie in South Carolina last Saturday around 7:15 p.m. And since posting it to Nextdoor on Sunday, the picture has garnered significant speculation from people who have tentatively identified its subject as everything from an alligator to a floating log or some sort of water monster. Mm-hmm. Lake Wylie, like its neighbor Lake Norman to the north, was created by damming the Catawba River. Lake Norman is said to host its own lake monster, which witnesses have described as being similar to a large sturgeon or alligator gar, although some say it's closer to an overgrown alligator. Neither lake nor the Catawba River, which connects them, has any indigenous alligators, although several alligators are found along the Catawba each year. Well, I guess they do have them then, don't they? Wildlife officials believe these animals are likely exotic pets abandoned by their owners, despite alligators living naturally in other parts of North and South Carolina. One person who viewed the photograph suggested it was a big, nasty snake. Author John Hare wrote in Monsters of North Carolina, Mysterious Creatures in the Tar Heel State, that both the area's indigenous people of the Catawba Nation and European settlers have legends going back centuries of snake-like monsters living in the Catawba River. According to Hare, H-A-I-R-R, Hare, I guess, the Catawba Indians believe that monstrously large snakes inhabited the Catawba River and preserve stories of these large animals killing people on the rocks of the rapids near what is now Charlotte. Giant snakes were not the only mysterious creatures inhabiting the river. In the days before the European settlement of the region, the Catawba had legends of giant leech-like creatures. That's horrible. Yeah. That lived in the river, and these creatures made their presence known by coming out of the water and sunning themselves on the rocks. Wow. The Native Americans were not the only ones who believed that a monster lived in the Santee River system, of which the Catawba River is a major part. As it turns out, the white inhabitants of the Catawba River Valley had their own beliefs that some monstrous, mysterious creature was swimming in the Catawba. I'll just use a lot of different words, and I'll hit it eventually. As for Plate, whatever she saw, she doesn't believe it was a semi-aquatic mammal, as some have suggested, and she'll continue to return to Lake Wylie, hoping to spot the creature again. Beavers, muskrats, and otters were always other guesses, but there's no way this creature is too big, she said. Definitely we'll go back to the shore with some more people for evidence to try to catch another glimpse. Well, I'm going to put the picture up, and
it's not very compelling.
Well, it's not, and it's really, I don't know. It's just, I mean, God, that could be a stick. I mean, really. You do see a swirl, a little bit of a snake-like pattern behind it.
It's just a little bit of a wake.
Yeah, it is, but they said the wake was monstrous, but I don't know. What is the scale I'm looking at here? I mean, it could be a dog for all I know. When you look at a dog, you don't see the tail and stuff. You just see this little dark spot in the head. Mm-hmm. and they can cruise through the water pretty well. But I don't know. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I find that very peculiar. It's an interesting story nonetheless. I mean, the whole lake monster idea that there are lake monsters in all these different bodies of water. Is it possible? I guess. It seems unlikely to me, but again, I don't know.
Taco Violator, could be quite correct. A sturgeon or a pike, because pikes get huge. They can get up to like I've heard of 12-foot pikes.
12 foot?
Yeah.
Oh,
northern pikes are the worst.
Yeah, we always fished them, but I never. I mean, there was always stories of big fish in the Mississippi where I lived. But
yeah. Just ask Mr. River Monsters. What is his name?
Oh yeah, Jeremy Wade.
God, that guy's crazy. That fish could eat you.
I know, he pulls these big, ugly looking things out of the water, and it's like, oh my God, why'd you put it back? Oh, look at it. Yes. And they got these big, huge teeth like daggers and stuff.
Maybe I'm thinking of gar, Mog.
Gar, yeah. Gar are pretty crazy looking. I've caught gar before. They're good.
It's better than a lot of things you can catch, I'm sure.
Except that rash I once had.
Oh, God.
No.
Morty. Stop with the rash on your butt.
Yeah. Well, I think the gar, I think they do get kind of sizable, but I don't know. Are they that sizable? Maybe.
I'm looking it up.
Sturgeon, I know, can get enormous, though.
Yes,
I mean, I've heard that they can get the size of like a freaking car, I mean, they're huge. But I don't know. I think they're mostly bottom feeders, though. The sturgeon. I don't think they usually eat.
Dirty bastards.
They don't usually eat like prey in the active sense. I think they're more of a cleaner, like a catfish. But catfish can eat stuff, I guess. I don't know. Hell, I don't know. I'm no expert, ladies and gentlemen, but I just play one on my show. I play an expert.
It is kind of a show.
It is. But yeah, there's another report for you, ladies and gentlemen. Do you believe there are lake monsters out there? What do you guys think? I mean, this is kind of one of those questions, because here's the thing. Of course, we've all heard the legends of Nessie, as we even have our own Nessie in the chat room. But I don't know. I mean, the sightings of them are mostly ambiguous at best. There are quite a few legendary stories of them. Are they an actual creature, or are they more of just a figurative legend to teach about something? I don't know. Maybe the spirit of the waters. I don't know. I don't know if these things are literal legends or not. Maybe they are. Maybe there once were these big things in the waterways, but maybe things like our rampant pollution and misuse of our resources have
mutated them.
Well, killed them off is what I was thinking.
Oh, okay,
but,
yeah.
Maybe these bodies of water did used to hold these giants, and our just continued misuse and damming of the systems has just created a environment that they weren't able to survive in. I don't know. Perhaps there were these things, but I find it hard to believe they're still out there, but that's just me. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right.
I know that everything is possible, but what do you guys think? Do you think there could be giant river monsters? I mean, more than just Jeremy Wade catching on TV.
And most of those are like catfish.
Yes, I know, or some
bullheads,
some relative of the catfish, like all around the globe. Although he did catch some tiger fish over in Africa or something. Those were just terrifying. Or India, somewhere he caught these things that were they just had this like finger-sized teeth. It was just disgustingly.
Hey, you want to go noodling?
Yeah. You noodle back a stump. That's what you noodle. Like,
be lucky.
Yeah.
It's like me eating a chicken bone. In goes the meat, out comes the bone. That's it.
That's how it works. Chicken. Yep. But I tell you, I don't know if I really think that they're still out there. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just kind of curious in the chat room if you guys can let us know what you think. Yeah or no? Yes or no?
I forgot the question.
Well, it's something that we haven't covered a lot on the show because, and here's the thing. Like there's Champ, there's Nessie, there's, Ogopogo and all these more famous ones, but the reason that we've never really covered them on the show too much is that, for one, they've been done to death, by a whole lot of other people, and probably done better than I could ever do it anyway, because they just. But there's very limited information. There's limited sightings. I did try to research a show on river monsters and lake monsters, and it was really tough to find anything that wasn't already done to death.
Right.
And what could I do new and different to a topic like that? Now, the sightings are incredibly sporadic and spaced out, and again, most of the sightings are very ambiguous. I was in my car and I saw something on the water, and then I looked back and it was gone, that kind of stuff. And, having grown up on a waterway, I saw things in the water all the time, but there were always logs, and I saw the funny things that logs can do in the water. And so I chalk it up as, a lot of cases of just people not really sure what they're seeing. But
right.
I don't know. I've just never really been gravitated towards it for the portal.
Right.
But if you guys would like to hear a show on the river monsters and stuff, we can certainly put one together.
Well, they believe.
They do. Okay.
Yes, overwhelmingly.
Okay. All right.
And somebody mentioned, that we don't know, as we've mentioned before, what kind of species that are really out there, because, we've never come across them.
Right.
So, and, it was Hetty. Yeah. She says, I believe there are species we haven't seen. Absolutely not. Absolutely. We've not seen a whole lot. We didn't know about the Humboldt squid until I think like 70 years ago.
Good point.
So.
Did I ever put that on screen, that picture?
I don't. Yes, you did.
Okay. All right. I just was so good I didn't realize I clicked back to the doubles. I looked down and we're already on both cameras. I'm like, oh, did I do it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I'm just that slick, I guess.
Hey, just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Miss Tardy.
Miss Tardy?
Yes, because I said her name and she came in like 2 minutes later. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, who's that?
Cha-Cha.
Oh. Oh, yeah, the big red dot is back.
Yeah, the big red dot. Cha-Cha din-din.
Cha-Cha din-din. Oh, my God. Oh, I still don't get used to that name. Still never will get used to that name. So anyway, I see what you're talking about now.
We didn't miss you, Cha. You missed us.
Ooh, that's not nice. We always miss everybody when they're not here. If anybody is normally here and they're not here, it's like you can definitely feel it.
Yeah, it's like, one of your friends missed the party.
Now there's Sean Barry Sr. That's a new name.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No, it's not.
Well, do tell.
I'm trying to remember. I remember the name though. Let me see here.
Well, what they said is, man, I wish I could listen to you guys all night, but got to go to work. Yeah. Have a blessed night, brothers.
Unfortunately, so Sean, have a great night. Be safe.
Yeah, great to see you. Thanks.
You can always catch us on the replay.
Thanks for seeing us for as long as you could tonight.
I know he's been in before.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just been a while since he's been in.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
It's just a new name to me, so I didn't recognize it. But then again, I don't watch the chat very much, so.
That's true.
I don't have that luxury very often.
Luxury.
So that's another topic. But now the question is, would you guys like to hear an episode about all these lake monsters and river monsters? Is that something you'd like to hear on this show? And don't say yes because you think I want to hear that. I really don't. I mean, honestly, to me, it's either or. I can certainly do that, but it's just something that's never really been too exciting to me personally. But if you guys want to hear it, we can put one together. So let us know. SMP says no. Okay, good. All right, because that's fine. I got two no's.
It's only two no's out of all of the yeses.
Oh, is there a lot of yeses? Okay. I see Aussie wants one.
Jess, Sean Barry, Aussie.
Okay.
So there you
All
go.
right, well, we can do that. I mean, for sure we can do it.
Mog, I like what Mog says. Do what you want. It's your show.
Yeah, I know, but I can't pretend you guys aren't here. It's like, well, today I feel like making a sandwich.
Watch me make this sandwich with lots of mustard.
You can't ever have too much mayo.
Yes.
I mean, I could do a show about that, but I wouldn't do that to you guys. So, no, I just want to bring you guys the material you want to see. I want to, if you guys are feeling like we're not touching on a subject that means something to you, I definitely want to explore it because, we are listener driven. I mean, and viewer driven. So we want to bring you the shows you want to see.
Have you had a river monster experience?
Never. No.
No, I mean them in general.
Oh, I have. Any of you guys? Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, let us know if you have, because that'll become part of that episode.
Exactly.
You can be a guest on that one. So very curious, but let's get to the next one here. Where are we? Okay, so that's the mysterious quantic one. Here's the next one.
Yeah.
A large, thin man with jet black eyes, like a praying mantis. In Chicago.
In Chicago, Schiller Woods. Nice.
What is going on in Chicago, Don? Things are blowing up over there.
Flocka.
Flocka. Yeah. You're out there smoking some crocodile. No, I don't know what's going on. I apologize. I don't mean to disparage anybody, but it's just kind of wild. That's what the hell's going on. I've never known Chicago was such a hotbed of activity. This is just blowing me away. Let's see what's going on here. It says, again, the headline on this singular Fortean article is large, thin man with jet black eyes like a praying mantis reported in Chicago's Schiller Woods. That is crazy. That's really bizarre. I wonder if it has wings, and they're just all folded up. Is this one of the moth people,
This is the praying mantis people.
Well, but they could have wings.
I have an interesting story about that too, but
you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go first?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a short story. Something somebody told me a while ago.
By all means.
I was visiting with a friend here a guy I know here in Sandpoint. He's a snowbird, so he comes up during the summer and leaves during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting talking with him. I talked to him for about 2 hours. And one of the things that he said to me through all of this, we talked about, ancient aliens. We talked about all kinds of things. I mean, the whole thing. We talked about the people on ancient aliens, the idea of ancient aliens, all these kinds of different things.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, and he kind of wedged this in, and I really didn't think about it until after I'd left that day. But he told me back in like the mid-90s, when he was doing his show down in Arizona, I think that's when it was, that he had a praying mantis, a mantis person in his house who handed him a high-tech, what only could be called computer. And I didn't get the details because it didn't click in my head at the time. But he told me that he was having a conversation with a praying mantis type alien.
Oh my God. Wow.
And now, the thing is though, is I may never get the chance to talk to this guy again.
Oh.
So I'm really just kicking myself in the butt that I didn't clue in on what he was saying at the time and didn't get into more explanations about this. But he's also one of the first ones that broke the whole Heaven Gates thing back in like 95, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he had a show down in Arizona and all this kind of things. But the three-headed cockroaches.
No, so this guy is in possession of a piece of equipment?
Well, no, I don't believe that it was left, but I believe that he was using this piece of equipment to have a conversation with this mantis person.
Oh.
He didn't say, I don't remember him saying praying, but praying mantis. I do remember him saying mantis person though. And so I forgot to dive into that. So it didn't catch me for some reason. I walked out the door and drove away because I was like heading to work or something because I worked too goddamn much. And so I was processing it and I'm like, I got to ask him about that. I didn't even ask him about that. And I just feel like an idiot to not dive into that because that's what, and unfortunately this is somebody I have to go and talk to face to face because of reasons.
Sure.
But it was a great time sitting down and talking to him.
Right.
He knew a lot.
Oh man.
He knew a lot.
Okay.
He was yeah, anyhow. So
well, that's an opportunity maybe missed, but
yeah.
Hopefully you can catch up with them again.
Three-headed cockroaches.
Okay, what's the story with three-headed cockroaches?
So I used to work for this company. I used to do like, answer phones and take, orders on the phone, that kind of thing. So one day, one of my bosses was talking about this lady who called, and she was talking about she wanted to order this, that, and the other thing, and she also wanted us to send like a deep freeze, a chest freezer, whatever, a deep freezer. And however, it couldn't be delivered by car or any terrestrial method. It had to be beamed in.
Oh.
because of the three-headed cockroach people.
Oh.
So they had three heads like crucifixes, right?
Uh-huh.
And they had hands. I guess they had like, 6 hands, like, or arms, legs, whatever. But they had like a head here and a head out this above the shoulders, the neck area.
Uh-huh.
2 heads this way. The crucifix, 3-headed. And she said, and I did get this call. There were 3 people that talked to this person. The boss was one of them. I was another one. And it's like this it's like, and they're eating people. They're like zombies. And the zombies out there. Oh, she was going on about zombies too. And the zombies out there, they'll run you down.
That's a little paranormal
World
by
War
itself.
Z, like World War Z style, It's like, oh my God.
That's creepy. I mean, obviously this person was suffering from some...
Unfortunately, I'd have to say yes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I had to get to the point where I had to tell her, and I'm not kidding, I told her this. She said it had to be, beamed in. She said you need to beam it into my front room. And I told her, I'm sorry, ma'am, our beaming technology has been out of order for a while. The Zetas came in and they were upgrading it and they burned something out, so we had to get a hold of Venusians. And shipping costs from Venus is astronomical. I told her that.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well, then I guess I can't order anything. I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't do it. Yeah, I wish I could, but our beaming technology is down. You talk to the Zetas.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
That's a tough one.
She was going on and on. I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's kind of the shocking thing is, and it must be hard to live with such delusion, I guess, is the only way I can say it. And, the thing is that to her, it's absolutely real.
Yeah.
I mean, what she's saying is absolutely real. And that's the terrifying part, is that she lives in a world, whether it's just in her head or not, but she's living in a world that she's surrounded by terrifying things.
Right.
Can you imagine how horrid that would be?
No, I can't, because obviously it's never happened to me. And unfortunately, knock on wood,
right?
I'll be sane for most of my life, or at least what resembles sane in this life.
Liber says they put their Edgar suits on.
Yeah. Well, Rachel gets it right. Says 3-headed cockroaches. Did they ask for sugar in water? Was the leader named Edgar?
Yeah, there you go.
It was like he was in an Edgar suit.
Yeah. That was a classic. But no, I mean, I just feel for people that are in that place, because I mean,
think about what was the connecting dots to make her. But obviously, she believed in aliens.
Yeah.
But she also believed in zombies.
And she believed you could beam in stuff too.
And
which is
damn grays.
Yeah. That's wild. I don't know what to say to that other than that it is bizarre.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is, because again, that person lives in that place. That's the place they live, in their head, and there's no getting out of that.
Oh, Lieber 777. Haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, indeed. So, all right. So, let me get to this article then, and we'll see what this account is.
Let's get back to your mantis man.
So this is, again, from the singularfortean.com. Great site. Love it. Manuel Navarrete of UFO Clearinghouse recently received a report from a couple who said they saw a large, thin man appear out of Schiller Woods in Chicago. According to the report, my boyfriend and I were at Schiller Woods on Sunday, December 23rd, and we were doing a small Wiccan ritual in the woods when we saw a large, thin man appear out of the woods and start staring us down. The man was extremely tall, about 7.5 to 8 feet tall, and he's very thin. He was easily half the size of my boyfriend, and his arms hung down towards his knees. At first, I was like, oh my God, it's Slender Man, but quickly realized that it did not look like any man I've ever seen. First off, his eyes were huge, almost looked like a praying mantis eyes, just jet black. He was wearing coveralls that were gray in color, maybe it was an Edgar suit, and looked like he was carrying a wand of some sort in his right hand. My boyfriend and I didn't feel scared, just a little shook up. We stood there staring at each other for about a minute before it stepped behind some trees and disappeared. Once we lost sight of him, that is when the fear set in, and we got out of those woods as quickly as we could. We were both sober, although we had smoked a little bud earlier, but as part of the ritual, it often helps open our aura and allows us to channel energy better. I imagine. Navarrete was able to contact the witness by telephone and said, I spoke with both witnesses by a phone and obtained the location of the sighting and the details that led up to the sighting, the investigator said. The reporting witness is a 27-year-old female, and the second witness is her 28-year-old boyfriend, and both witnesses are from nearby River Grove, Illinois, and both have been practicing Wicca for about 4 years. The witnesses have indicated that they have both been to Schiller Woods on multiple occasions to do rituals, and have seen some, other practicing groups there before. And when asked why they go there for the ritual, the female witness said they can practice in relatively peace with little or no disturbance from the outside world. It's the other world you got to worry about. We asked about the encounter. The female witness said they were there to do a Yule ritual for posterity. He continued they were almost done with the ritual when they both said she heard a very high-pitched sound that came out of nowhere. And when she looked up, she saw the being attempting to hide behind a row of trees about 15 yards from them. The being she described as being between 7 and 8 feet tall, extremely thin, and looked like he was wearing a gray jumpsuit. I guess there goes the cover also. Okay. She said that the being's arms were very long, hung to about his knees, just above his knees, and looked like they had claws. And I asked her to please describe this. And she said they were long and just looked like they were tipped with claws, or what looked like claws. She went further in describing the being as being smooth-headed, no indication of hair, and with eyes that were insect-like, only jet black, and took up most of the face. The being didn't take any hostile action towards the witnesses.
I'm sorry, the being?
The being.
Being. Oh, gotcha.
I say being. I don't say being.
I must have missed the G. Sorry.
Didn't take any hostile action towards the witness, and it's only after the event that they felt any fear. When asked if the being tried to move towards them, both indicated that it stayed behind the row of trees and would only move to conceal itself from them. Navarrete said both witnesses indicate that they were both in full view of the being and that the being must have been aware that they could see it as well. Well, obviously, you stood and stared at each other. Both witnesses agreed that this went on for over a full minute before the entity stepped behind a row of trees and disappeared from view. Both witnesses said that once the being was gone, they felt an overwhelming urgency to leave. The feeling bordered on fear. It was like someone had unleashed a pent-up wall of fear, and that had somehow been held back during the encounter. Both witnesses gathered up their things and quickly left, got in their car, drove away out of Schiller Woods. When asked if they noticed anything out of the ordinary as they were leaving, such as lights in the sky or unusual mists, etc., the female witness said she did notice a lack of wildlife as they left.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. He indicated that those particular woods are teeming with deer and raccoons and the other wildlife, and at the time in the late afternoon, early evening, they were out in droves grazing and feeding, and the deer are used to people and don't scatter unless directly approached. And yet on the way out, she saw no wildlife at all, no deer anywhere. So very curious. There's a little more, but obviously it's just rehashing it. I find that very interesting. Now, could that be, Don? Could that be the very same moth people that everyone is seeing? But it was just in non-winged mode, you know?
Maybe it's like, like a juvenile, like a pupa.
It's a grub.
Somebody said something about a lonely vulpa looking for love or something like that.
What's a vulpa? I know that name. Why do I know that?
It's you were talking about him last night.
Yeah, what is it? I forgot. I can't remember. Vulpa.
The thought forms.
That's a tulpa.
Tulpa. Sorry.
Oh.
Tulpa. That's what they said. Okay. I misread it. But
all right.
You know what I'm saying.
Okay, now I
Tulpa.
do. Okay. All right. Oh my God! All right, in my head that went totally different. I can't say it out loud. What it was making me laugh.
He was the loneliest tulpa looking for purpose, lost in the woods. That's what Rachel said.
Oh, you're probably right. I mean, he probably was.
Looking for love.
Or this guy just gets off on screwing up people's prosperity rituals.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, are they doing a ritual?
Are they doing that prosperity ritual? Screw them.
It's not prosperity. This is prosperity.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very interesting. I don't know. But I do think there might be some merit to it. I mean, because could it be when these things that fly around and they're the Mothmen that people describe as looking like a moth? You know, if you look at a moth, they can tuck their wings in. So could this thing have its wings tucked in? What's going on, Mary? What?
That's just they're misspelling. Tulpa and Vulpa. A slight, change in it.
All right.
Totally different.
So that's that story. I think it's very interesting. I think maybe what these people bumped into was one of these moth people, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And
I mean, God, how many weird things can be running around in the woods around Chicago? I mean, granted.
We're talking about Chicago.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, I was like,
on the south side of Chicago.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to another one. I just want to look. Maybe that's enough of the Singular 40, because I don't want to do a whole show on their site. That's not really fair to them. But I like taking some of the reports.
Well, and leave some for later.
We can leave some for Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yep. Well, no, actually, this Saturday night, Don, you remember what's happening? Maybe you never heard what's happening this Saturday night. Did you hear what's happening this Saturday night, Don?
No.
No, he did not hear, ladies.
Am I being ambushed right now?
No,
Am I
but
about to get rickrolled?
We are going to have a guest on Saturday night.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, it's going to be our very own Kev Baker is going to be joining us here.
No way.
On the Paranormal Portal. Yes.
No way.
Kev is coming on.
Kev's coming on.
We're going to break it open with Kev Baker from the Kev Baker Show.
Get him talking about black-eyed kids.
Oh, yeah.
That.
I mean,
he
he's
loves that.
Well, we can have him talk about pretty much everything. I mean, it's just going to be a great time. He and I have actually discussed, not in depth, but we've mentioned it, or he mentioned it actually. It was his idea to do, they do the Friday night Freaky Friday.
Right.
And which is a 3-hour show. And to have a crossover show from Freaky Friday to the Paranormal Portal and make it a 5-hour show.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, my God. I thought we decided not to do parathons anymore.
That's not a parathon, though, because it's not just you and me.
That's true.
We would have Scotty and Joe and Kev and you and I.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that'd be, 5 people. 1 hour each. We're done. No, I mean,
I can't do what you do. I can't do an hour's long by myself.
We would just be a group discussion.
Wow.
It would be a group discussion for
Is
all that
it
time.
being catered?
Yeah.
Your
Dominoes.
chamber pot, my lord.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec.
Hold on, the royal catheter's coming.
I prefer a silicone base, please.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's going to be Saturday night. We're going to have Kev Baker on the show, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be a great time. And I got to throw in the Scottish brogue a little bit there.
No, he's got a good brogue himself. Yes,
he is Scottish, so it's pretty authentic. He's a great guy, though. Really, one of the hardest working guys out there doing his show. He's doing two shows a day.
Is that? Oh, okay. Yeah,
Two streams a day,
wow.
And one of which is his Kev Baker show, but he does an earlier one as well. The guy is just a machine. So he's working real hard, and I'm really excited to finally get him on the show. We offered it to him a long time ago, but he finally took us up on the offer, so I'm really glad. And he's been incredibly supportive of us.
Yeah.
And a lot of our audience has come from Kev's.
Mm-hmm.
His audience is quite huge, so that was very nice. But yeah, we're going to have a crossover show, or not a crossover show, but he's going to be our guest on Saturday night, so that should be a good time.
Sweet. And
if you're not familiar with Kev Baker, ladies and gentlemen, go over to the Kev Baker Show on YouTube. You can check out his show, his streams. He gets into a lot of paranormal and what he calls the woo.
The woo.
They get into the woo a lot
and
over
the
there.
woo crew.
So Yeah, the Woo Crew. And they do a show on Fridays called Freaky Friday, and it's a really great show. They have some great discussions. They also talk about a lot of conspiracy and other things too. But yeah, just a wonderful guy. So I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be this Saturday night. So just so you know, I guess now you know what's happening.
I
on
guess
Saturday.
I do.
And we have I've got a couple other feelers out there that I'm waiting to hear back on.
Okay.
But some great shows coming up, for sure. For sure. All right.
Good night, Deb.
Deb, you leaving us? Have a great night, my lady. Thank you so much for stopping in and being a part of the story or the show. I just saw weird stories at the same time as I said that.
Yeah.
WYRD, weird stories.
Hi, although not technically paranormal, I kind of relate
To the show's
but
title.
kind of relates to the show's title, Face of Paranormal.
Faces
Oh, gotcha.
of-
Yeah.
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 Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Isn't this a great Face of Paranormal?
This is the face of the Paranormal Portal.
Portal.
Yeah.
So anyhow, well, welcome in. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Weird what? Weird Stories.
Weird stories.
There you go. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a new name.
So,
Haven't seen that one before. It's always good to see new people coming in. That's awesome. Lady Naga, how you doing?
Lady Naga's here. Yeah, I
Very
forgot to
cool.
mention that.
Awesome. So we've got a lot of old friends coming back and a lot of new friends coming in. So this is pretty awesome. Thank you guys for coming in.
Absolutely.
Hope you're enjoying the journey so far. We're just getting started here, though. Oh my God, we're
What?
not just getting started.
No, we've been here for like an hour and 10.
Why does it feel like only 15 minutes has gone by, Don?
Because this is how we do
Like seriously, it's like it's 10 after 8. How did that happen?
it. We do a good
I've
show.
lost time, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
I've lost time.
How's your seat? Is it nice and soft?
That's so far. So far, still bouncy. Oh man,
Ready to sit down again?
so far. But yeah, I get what you're going there. I finally caught what you meant there.
How's the core?
Yeah, well, apparently I'm all cleaned out. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Let me find somewhere to go with this. I hit a wall.
MCAT says he's bringing a bag of burgers.
Oh, nice. When are you showing up, brother? We'll be waiting for you.
I think he's like over on the East Coast right now.
Well, he was. I don't know where he is now.
He said something.
That man has put some
I
miles
know,
on.
God.
I'd like to know how many miles he's put on. That man's probably circled the earth about 50 times
Oh, jeez.
in mileage. Let's see what we got here.
A para-abnormal show. That'd be a normal kind of
Now,
thing.
this may or may not be paranormal. No, those are horror stories. I don't know if I want to do that. Oh, here we go. This one sounds good. This one sounds darn good, ladies and gentlemen. Found an article from the Occult Museum, and it is Campfire Stories, 13 Terrifying Accounts of Paranormal Encounters in the Wilderness. I like the wilderness stories, Don. I do, because
Sweet.
I think that, here's the thing. We are creatures of comfort. We are creatures of our creation, of our towns and our cities and our sidewalks and cut lawns and stuff. And while many people do enjoy going into the outdoors, and many people are avid outdoors men and women, and they do wonderful things and spend long periods of time out there, we are still people of our comfort.
Right.
It's like we're not at home in the woods, even though we enjoy the woods, and so it doesn't surprise me even a little that there are very probably many things out there that we don't understand.
Right.
And so I like these stories of things from the wilderness. So we're going to get into some of these stories, ladies and gentlemen, and see what we can find here. I'm going to have to blow this up, though. It's all a stark white page with this thin black font on it, which normally isn't too bad, but I think my eyes are getting worse, Don. I do. I really do. I need a new
prescription.
New prescription.
So
yeah.
what happens when your prescription run out? Do you walk around like this?
No, I'm not. I just need it for mostly. I just need my glasses for driving. But I'm noticing that as I've spent years looking at these monitors. Oh,
MCAT for the
woo!
burgers. Woohoo! For the win. Woohoo!
Aw, thank you, brother. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
That's quite a few burgers. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think we can get fat off of that one, dude.
I think it's too late.
But I want a Coke too. Just kidding, brother. I'm just being stupid. Thank you so much for that, brother. It goes a long way. It really helps us. We appreciate the love. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. So the first one is called A Perfect Circle. It says, my pop and I are avid campers, not professionals anymore, but my dad used to be a wilderness guide for kids. We typically prefer the eastern or western Sierras, as they have great car camping spots next to the lakes and a lot of great trails. Last summer, we decided to go up for a 2-night stay and do some hiking. The campground was pretty full, not unusual for the summer, but we were lucky enough to, I thought at the time, to find a pretty secluded site, and we set up our tents. The first night was normal, a little bear activity, but we're used to that. The second night, I crawl into my backpacking tent, head and toes hit both ends, very small, and I just pass out cold until about 3 a.m.
Why is it always 3 a.m.?
That's the time. That's the peak time for paranormal activity.
Okay.
When I wake up to the sound of footsteps. My dad is a diabetic and needs to get up to pee around 3 or 4 times a night. And the sounds are definitely footprints, but they're coming from the wrong direction. We were located next to the bathroom, so the footsteps should be moving in that direction, but they're coming closer to my tent. They stop about a yard short, and the breathing gets really heavy. I first brush it off as my dad, maybe lost without a flashlight. The breathing goes away. Well, I fall back to sleep, only to be woken a few minutes later to breathing right above the tent. You know that rush of terror up your spine? Yeah, I had that. This wasn't Dad. I laid perfectly still, but the footprints continued to circle my tent. I had the rain fly on, so I couldn't see through the roof, and it was a new moon and pitch black. Now I convince myself, a heavy sleeper, that I'm dreaming. Mm-hmm. Just as that thought runs through my head, I feel a single finger run the length of my foot through the tent. Real slow and methodical. Now I figure I have to be dreaming because my foot is in my sleeping bag and I couldn't possibly feel that. But the comfort disappeared quickly when I realized, using the small ambient light available, that my foot was bare and out of the bag.
Ooh.
I laid frozen as whatever it was stroked my foot for a minute or two.
Ooh.
Gave a few more labored breaths, and then just stood above my tent for what felt like an eternity before disappearing. Mm-hmm. I stayed up all night. In the morning, I heard my dad get out of his tent. I bolted up and I met him by the fire, and he looked me in the eye and asked if I'd gotten up the night before, and I asked him the same thing. And he said that he had around 2 a.m. because he thought someone was going through our stuff. As I told him my story, we noticed our gear had been neatly rearranged on the table. Every item. Nothing taken. Footprints in a perfect circle around my tent. We still can't even talk about it. Well, how's that for creepy?
Well, was this a gal or a guy?
I have no idea. It doesn't give me any indication of the gender of the person writing the story, but
because that's just creepy. Something's just playing with your feet.
Just, it's got a foot thing.
Apparently so. You have a sexy foot, so I won't eat you tonight.
Yeah. Look at how tiny it is. How do they walk on these things?
It's like little toothpicks.
It's like stilts. What's going on here?
Hey, I know they call them stems, but them ain't great.
So I don't know. It's just a strange account of something appearing from the forest, circling the tent, stroking the foot, and then going through their stuff and rearranging it for them. Oh, God. It's like this OCD kind of thing. I like feet, and I like the stuff like this.
Let me count your piggies while I rearrange your stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So very strange, but allegedly a true story, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to this next one. This one's called The Stickmen. That's different.
Bomber says that happened at dinner table at a party once. I wasn't into it. I was like,
wasn't into it. Depends on who's doing the rubbing. All right.
Wow, that's a sexy bunion.
Ooh, way to just turn my stomach. One word just killed my digestion, Don. You realize that, right?
It's my job.
I love corns.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Taco and
Hey, Justin Naga from the Nagas.
Aw,
And
thank you so
Taco,
much.
yeah. Hey, Taco,
That's awesome. Thank you both.
Gosh.
This is a great night. Wow. We should do this more often, Don.
I
Like 7 days a week isn't enough. Eh?
Zoinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
No doubt, yeah.
He was married. Bomber says he was married. Oh, yeah, that's not the kind of action you're looking for at dinner, huh? From a married man rubbing your feet.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Hey, maybe he's a massage therapist.
Maybe, yeah. He's just doing a pedicure. What is it? Reflexology.
Yeah.
It was just reflexology.
Yeah, well, everybody loves a good foot massage. Usually. Sorry, that was your experience.
Brown chicken, brown.
Maybe you got really nice feet, though. I
I'm
don't know.
saying, who knows?
She
is Canadian.
At least you had dinner first.
Oh, man.
See what I did there?
Had dinner and a foot rub. Sounds like a night for me.
Sounds like a date to me. All right.
Wow.
Let's continue on. The Stickmen. 6 hours walk through thick brush to get to the nearest passable road. Age 14, maybe 15, hiking and camping with 2 fellow Boy Scouts and an adult. We made camp for the night, had a cold dinner because it was too wet to scavenge firework, and all turned in early. Even in the woods there are noises, frogs, owls, small game, and every sort of bug. My tent mate and I woke at the same time, maybe 3 a.m. Boom, 3 a.m. again, to hear nothing outside. Absolutely ear-straining silence. Like a wooden blanket wrapped around the head.
A wooden blanket.
A woolen blanket, sorry.
I was like, well, like a 2x4?
I was thinking, well, how the hell is a wooden blanket wrapped around your head?
Like a 2x4.
Yeah, exactly. It was woolen, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. After a few minutes, the bugs started chirping again, and we went back to sleep. When we woke in the morning, we found that 5 of the pine trees surrounding our little clearing had been connected in a star shape with scraped lines and pinned to the other, and pinned to each one was a stick man, like the ones from the Blair Witch. The leader and his son, occupants of the other tent, accused us all of screwing with them, but we knew it wasn't us. That's a story no one believes. I mean, who would believe the alibi of 2 kids? I'll never camp without the safety of a large group and nearby civilization ever again.
I'm more of a glamper.
Yeah, I know. I can hang up a picture of woods and be just fine. Put it by my bed. I'm camping. Like
The best camp
close
out,
enough.
You through Boy Scouts and all of that. The best camp out I ever had was with my son's mother. So long ago, and we went to like the 1,000 Trails, and we rented like a trailer,
Oh, sure.
like a camper trailer,
Right.
and we rented it, and that was fun.
Oh, sure.
I had a nice solid wall between me and the raccoons with rabies, and the bears with bursitis.
Yeah.
That was good for me. I liked it.
That's good camping right there.
It is.
That is really good camping. I think that, if I was a camper, that's how I would camp.
Oh, and we went camping with the guy who got busted for flying drugs over the Canadian-U.S. border.
At that time, was he like doing it while you guys were with him?
It was like after he got out of jail for it.
Jeez.
Oh no, but he's a good guy. Yeah.
He's a hell of a camper.
Don't remember much of that night.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean,
God.
I could just turn on Animal Planet and sleep on the couch, and that's good enough. It says The Land Remembers is the next one. One night I was camping near an old river dam, where an old river dam had been, and I pulled the canoe in late, so I just draped the tarp over the canoe and crawled in underneath it, and I fell asleep. In the middle of the night, I woke to the sound of roaring water. I crawled up from under the tarp, and the sound stopped. I thought I must have been imagining it, or it was the wind through the trees or something, and I crawled back under the tarp, and the sound started again. And this time when I crawled out, it didn't stop. The sound got louder and louder, and I realized that it sounded like the water ripping through the woods. Even the dogs had their hair on the end, and I pulled the tarp off the canoe and dragged it up to the top of the ridge and waited to see what was making that noise. And then I heard the voices, men yelling and a dull thumping noise. And I huddled down next to the boat, pulled the dogs close, and waited for the sun to come up to find out what was happening. Morning came, and there was nothing to see. To this day, I don't know what that was, but I have my ideas, and I will not camp there ever again. I was told the land remembers, and that's fine. I just don't need to be there when it's remembering. So it sounds like a dam must have broke loose, huh?
Apparently so.
Wow. Oh, nice. Thanks, Taco. Appreciate it. Ka-ching.
Ching.
That's awesome.
We like pennies, everything. We like dollars. We like them all. Just send them all to us. We'll get you a box. We'll pay for the shipping. Yeah, why not?
Absolutely. So this one's called the Skin Changer. That sounds interesting.
Interesting, yes.
Wildland firefighters with the Forest Service, not my story, but from an old supervisor of mine that I believe completely. Setting is 2004 or so, Hell's Canyon area of Middle Idaho. That's in our neck of the woods.
It is, yep. South of us, yep.
His crew had been working all day on an emerging incident, and were going to be working throughout the night as well. Being the assistant superintendent of the crew, second in charge effectively, he was out ahead scouting on an ATV or some such, and he was working his way down a logging road that clearly had not been used in some time, when a bobcat or lynx, it's been a few years since I heard it, appears in the middle of the road. But it doesn't run away, as they usually would. The thing stands there for a good 10 seconds, screams at him, and then scampers up a tree not 5 feet off the road. He finds this odd, but not particularly unsettling. Just a half a mile or so down the road, he finds a small cabin. Also odd is this is federal land and no private structures should be there. Upon investigation, all the windows had been boarded shut tight, and someone had done a good job of doing so. The doorknob had been punched out and secured to a hole drilled into the log frame by a chain. Someone did not want anything getting in or out. Peering through the hole in the door, he can see that everything in the house is upset. This has him kind of unsettled, so he hops on his ATV and heads back to the road. Well, here's where it gets real interesting. Right where the bobcat had been, there stands a Native American woman in a badly tattered nightgown and bare feet, just standing there. He yells at her and asks if she needs help, and she just screamed at him, the same scream as the cat from before, and climbs right up the tree faster than any human has a right to be climbing. Obviously, he nopes out of there as fast as he can, unsure of who or what he just saw. He asks the local guy about the cabin, and after asking around a little, a local Native American hears them talking and informs them that what they saw, a pamawa, excuse the likely butchered spelling, in effect, a skin changer, a warg.
Wow.
Now, I would not believe most people that tried to tell me that, but this was a serious man that didn't mess around about many things. He was dead serious the 2 times I heard him tell it, and I 100% believe he saw what he saw. Wow, that's pretty intense. There's just so much going on in this world we don't understand. My God, you'd swear we didn't even live here. It's just all this stuff is going on, and we're just like, hey, what's on TV?
Yeah, no doubt.
There's this amazing world around us, and we're missing it. So this is the missing hiker. Park ranger here. Another ranger and I were out in a search and rescue call once. The missing person was a man in his 20s, and he had gone hiking and had not returned the day that he intended to. When we got the call, it was nighttime, but we hiked in a few miles and set up camp on a ridge that had a pretty good view. And he had gone into the woods prepared, so we decided to wait until daylight before beginning the search. About 2 a.m., I get up and I'm taking a leak when I see a moving light at the base of the cliffs across the valley and a few miles away. This one sounds familiar. Looks like a flashlight beam.
Yeah.
I tell the other ranger, and we make the decision to keep waiting for daylight. The next morning, we decide to check out the area and bring this guy home. And he get to approximately where I saw the light the night before and start calling his name. Soon we find his body at the base of the cliff. He had fallen 60 feet on his head. The body was badly mangled, and we radioed back that it has now become a recovery instead of a rescue. At this point, the other ranger yells to me to come look at this. Lying 20 feet from the man's body was his mag light. It seemed odd, but I thought nothing of it until the other ranger reminded me of the light the night before. It kind of gave me the creeps, but I still dismissed it. But before long, the coroner arrived and inspected the body. After he took the body back to the lab, he said that the man had been dead for at least 48 hours before we found the body. All of a sudden, the oh damn alarm went off in my brain. I knew that it couldn't be possible. I had the coroner review his work, the same result. I tried to find an explanation for the light I had seen, perhaps other hikers, but one search and rescue guy had stayed at the only trailhead in the area all night, and no one had come or gone. To this day, I have no clue what I saw that night, but it freaked me out. Yeah, so the light was swinging around, but the guy was long dead. Who was shining the light? There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Very creepy stuff.
Be careful, Cha-Cha. We know how you drive.
What?
She says she's going to listen, but she's driving home.
She's driving home.
She's driving it home.
Drive safely, Miss Cha.
Is that a wallflower song?
I don't know. One headlight is the...
Yeah, one headlight. That's it.
Laughter in the Night is next. My dad and I would occasionally go hunting together when I was a kid. I was 14 and my dad knew a guy who owned what seemed to be half of Georgia. I mean, the amount of property the guy owned was ridiculous. He let people hunt out there if he trusted you, and he'd let you camp out there for a couple of nights if you wanted. He'd always make sure we had a way to call for help, though, before we did it, though. I loved camping out there more than I did just going hunting for a few hours and then coming home. I liked the woodsman feel of living out in the woods. And we woke up early one morning and hiked into the woods. It was still dark when we got to our stand. We didn't see or hear anything, not even birds. I remember my dad commenting on it and looking back, it should have been a sign. Frustrated, we pack up and look for a spot to camp, and we would set up again later that evening, and my dad suggested we go deeper in to better our chances of seeing something, so that's what we did. We hiked for a few hours and found a clearing, set up a small camp and got settled and passed the time freaking ourselves out by talking about Bigfoot and other woodland creatures. And we hike a ways away from camp and set up our blind and wait. Again, nothing. We get back and our tent has been pulled up and laid flat. Not in a neat way, but it's just kind of laying there. And we thought it was just the wind or something, and we didn't put it upright, and it collapsed. We didn't think much of it since we didn't see or hear anything at all that whole day. We decided to leave the following day and try again later that week. We settle in for the night, build a really small fire, and just relax. Again, not even birds are making a sound. I remember thinking how odd it was to be this deep in the woods and only hear one or two birds the whole trip. Oh well, maybe we're making too much noise and scared everything off. We go to sleep soon after settling in. It's pitch black, middle of the night. I wake up for some reason, just try to go back to sleep. I'm in that half awake, half sleep phase when I start to hear laughter. I kind of jolt awake, but don't really hear it anymore, so I just figured it was a dream. I lay back down, and a few minutes later, I hear it again. It continues and gets pretty loud. I wake up again, but this time my dad is up too. He whispered and asked, "Did you hear that?" And this is when my heart dropped. He heard the laughing too. It wasn't a dream. We heard it again, but it was faint now, and I'm actually awake and I'm paying attention to it. It sounded kind of like several people laughing in unison. It wasn't cackling or hysterical laughter. It was just kind of normal laughter, but it didn't last, but for maybe 5 or 6 long seconds. I've never felt that much fear before in my entire life. We didn't hear it anymore after that, but needless to say, we didn't get any sleep. We packed up as soon as the sun came up and got GTFO'd. You have to figure out that acronym.
I know GTFO.
My dad was convinced someone followed us in, was playing a prank. And that's why we didn't see anything. And he said that while we were in the stand and blind, they were scaring all the wildlife off with their unmasked scent and being on the ground. He says this, but he didn't go back out there for over a month. When he finally did go back, he mentioned it to the guy who owned the property. He wouldn't let my dad hunt there anymore. Didn't say why either. My dad thinks he made the guy think that my dad was crazy or something. I guess it's possible that for someone to have followed us out there, they must be legit ninjas though, because we went out before daybreak. Nobody but the owner was parked out there that morning, and there were dead leaves and sticks everywhere when they decided to laugh. It came from different spots, and I never heard a footstep. Ooh, that's all kinds of creepy right there. The next one is called the fur coat, Don. We have a family cabin in the middle of nowhere on a small lake with 2 other cabins, surrounded by a forested area and flatlands both. About 2 miles away from the cabin and across the dirt road is a wildlife reserve. As kids, we walked through there all the time. After about 30 minutes walking straight into these woods, there used to be, period. I don't get it. Sorry.
I think it's supposed to be a collection of.
A collection of abandoned houses and old settlement. We went exploring and found that the people who used to live there had just up and left. In each house, still dishes on the tables, clothing in the closets, cars parked in the clearings, all the strappings for horses in the barns, and in one house, the floor had caved in, and there were about 40 pair of women's shoes scattered around the hole in the middle.
That's not weird at all.
Yeah. No bones, though, animal or human, nothing. We decided to stay away from the second floors of the houses after we saw that. We figured they'd be structurally unsound. And a skeletal treehouse in the middle of the clearing. After we told my parents, my dad wanted to come and look too. In one of those houses, we found a bedroom, fully intact. The sheets were still on the beds. The pillow still had the indentation of a head on it. But everything was covered in a thick layer of dirt, and the dust on the floors only had our footprints on it. At the foot of the bed was this stunning, enormous gray fur coat. There were a few moth holes chewed in it, and it was as dirty as everything else, but when we inspected it, we knew it was real fur, likely wolf or silver fox. It was just gorgeous. Dad decided he was going to bring it back and clean it up and see if he could have it remade for my mom. Dad was a thrifty guy, it says. And as we were leaving, I got a chill on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
About 60 yards from the house, turned around and saw an old woman glaring at us from the window of the second floor. She had her hair in a loose bun and was wearing a blue shawl on her shoulders over a cream-colored blouse. I immediately felt super guilty. I grabbed my dad, who was about 10 yards ahead of me, and told him we better put the coat back because the woman was still living there, and we had probably scared her and she looked pissed. We turned back around and I pointed to the window I saw her glaring at us from, and no one was there. I said she must have gone downstairs. And as we approached the house, still carrying the stupid coat, one of the windows in another house suddenly slammed shut. I ran as fast as I could into the woods, and Dad, being Dad, stayed behind and started yelling for the lady to come out. He was sorry, etc. Went upstairs, no one there, dust on the floor, undisturbed, and then he started up and dropped the coat in a big hurry, and we beat it back to the road as fast as we could.
Wow.
About 5 years later, the government demolished the whole thing.
Wow.
Huh. That's pretty horrible.
Yeah, I bet your mom would have loved that jacket though.
It's just a couple moth holes, Becky. It'll be fine.
It's okay. We'll just patch it right up.
We'll just put some glue there. Little duct tape and wire. Just like new.
Wow.
I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Just don't bring things home from old abandoned buildings.
Especially when a bunch of ladies apparently left like 40 pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
How likely do you think that would actually happen? There's something creepy going on in that place.
Yeah, a woman in her shoes. Come on. No, I'm just kidding.
In a giant hole.
In a giant hole. That's creepy.
It puts its lotion on its skin.
Yeah, that makes it even worse, doesn't it?
God, yes.
Thanks for that. I don't know. I think it would be neat to see. Now, I will say that when Dan and I were in Coloma, and Duke can attest to this as well, when we found that hunting cabin, there was still dishes and stuff on the table, and there was. I mean, it had been years since anybody had been there. I'm sure of it, but there was still dishes on the table and in the sink.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's in the video.
It's in the video. If you want to see it, it's on our investigations playlist on the page. That place, whatever was going on there, looks like it was kind of left in a hurry too, and I don't know. And the one cushy chair in there was torn up, like something was in there chewing on that chair or something. But I don't know what the hell happened in that house or in that hunting cabin. But I mean, it's out in the middle of nowhere on the mountain, so
right.
It's just, and you have to find it. It's not like it's even something you're obviously going to run into. It's just. And now the area around there was logged in the last several years, but that house is standing there, and it's just all by itself sitting there.
Right.
And I'm telling you, as the sun went down, that house was so freaking creepy. And the darker it got, the creepier it got. Mm-hmm. And Dan was in there, and he said it was almost unbearable to sit in there.
Well, and then didn't the box say get out or leave?
Yeah, there was a couple of weird things that came through on the several weird things came through on the recording, or you can hear it on the recording, but one of which we used a random sound. It's basically a phonetic generator, and it would just make random sounds. And the idea is that the spirits can modify that to make their own sounds. And no kidding, sounds came out like bang, bang, like something was pretending to shoot us. Like someone was standing there. Now, that is not in the whole database. There's not a sound that sounds like bang, bang. And then it did say get out. And at that point, Dan and I both agreed it was probably time to get out.
Pieces. So, see ya.
Yep, that was it. We left. You don't want to push it.
No.
Because, the last thing you want is some, spirit just absolutely pissed at you. So we were respectful about it. We said, okay, thank you, and we appreciate you letting us in there. And, Dan had grabbed a bunch of stuff and walked out, and he was out by the car, and he says to me, hey, you want to go in and take an extra look to make sure I didn't leave anything? And I was like, okay.
Why won't you go? What's wrong with you going?
No, I mean, he sat in there. I was in the doorway. Now, I'll tell you, I was in the doorway, and with my back exposed like that, not able to see or hear, even around the corners, the corners of this house, plus the whole thing behind me.
Right.
I just felt something was just right next to me the whole time. It was just really unnerving. But it was really cool. I wouldn't trade the experience for anything, but it was really bizarre.
We might have to do it again.
We will be doing it again the second weekend of January.
January?
Or July, rather.
You mean like this weekend?
July. I mean July, the new month. We're just renaming July all of a sudden. But no, we're going to be there the second weekend of July.
That's right.
We're going back over there, and I'll introduce Don to the cabin.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
No.
Don.
No.
You're going to investigate. That's why we're going. And
I was gonna go hang out with Caveman and Duke.
Yeah, well.
By the way, Duke, I've already requested those days off.
So you are golden, right?
I've always been golden.
All right,
I'm the golden child.
Well, we are going there, so we will be there the second weekend in July over in Montana on Coloma Ghost Town, the second annual.
Taco Violator. That was a live spirit box. Well, it wasn't a spirit box. It was more like a knockoff Huff portal.
Yeah, it's built on the schematics of the Huff portal, and Dan can get it. You can check out one of the episodes after that in the investigations playlist, and Dan goes over the mechanics of that and why anything credible coming through there or anything that matches questions, and many things came through that matched our questions. How astronomically impossible that should be, just mathematically, for anything to come out that would make sense. And we heard many responses. It was very intense. All right, so the next one is called The Drumming. Says, I've always been drawn to the wild. It seems like home, and I generally know my neighbors out there. Not afraid to be in the deep woods, in the dark. I love my woods. One sunny weekend afternoon, I had dirt biked up an old mining road, and it gained a couple 1,000 feet from the valley floor towards one of the ridges of the Cascades. That's in our neck too, right?
That's over my territory.
Yep.
More west.
Yep. And when the road gave out near the bottom of a high basin, I put on my backpack and started off cross country towards the ridge. It was still really heavily forested, old growth, and old cut fading in another 1,000 feet into those scraggly wind-blown ones near the top. After about 20 minutes in and about a half a mile up from me, near the tree line, I heard this thumping sound. Mm-hmm. It was very odd, so I stopped to listen carefully, and it sounded like a big solid branch was being whacked against a solid tree. Now, I use the term solid because those hits were powerful. One or both of the pieces of wood were hard and dry. The wood resonated and rang on impact as dry wood will. And I couldn't get over the power, though. It sounded like someone was swinging a 4-inch post. Weird, right? Well, it gets better. This someone sounded like they were trying to communicate the thumping and had a very complex and well-defined pattern. And here's the weirdest part. The thumping signal occasionally became very rapid, like what a drummer could do if they were noodling around with a stick, but I swear it sounded like a 4-inch post was being treated lightly as a drumstick. I listened for maybe 5 minutes, just fascinated with this sound, this code, and the power of it. And then the drumming suddenly stopped. And I kind of woke up to the fear of this unknown thing out there. I had my pistol, I had my bear spray, and my knife. I really only fear cougars, and even then, I figure they'll have a bad day trying to take me down. Still, the silence as I stared into the forest ahead seemed loaded, and I turned on my heels and left that valley. That place and that experience gave me the chills, and that high valley won't see my shadow again. I've read stories about some of the native peoples around here having valleys and they just wouldn't go into, and I can now easily understand how these legends get started. Wow. The next one, Don, is Shadows in the Field.
Shadows in the Field.
That's right.
Field.
Again, these are coming from the Occult Museum.
Field.
Camping in Wyoming, 2 hours from pretty much anywhere, with my dad, my friend, and my dog. My dog was the calmest, albeit quite stupid, and nicest dogs I've ever had. And I've never heard her growl or bark at anything, no matter how much it presented a threat to us or her. She just assumed everything was her friend or food. It's late at night, my dad's asleep, and my friend and I are just hanging around the campfire. Out of nowhere, the dog bolts up, barks once, and starts growling in the direction of a field next to our site. Of course, we're freaked the hell out, trying to figure out what the hell she's going on about. And then we realize there's a group of shadows on the other side of the field. We just sit there staring at whatever it is, and then we hear a conversation. No clue what language it was in. And this goes on for about 10 minutes of us staring wide-eyed at the shadows. Didn't think to wake my dad when the shadows just went away. And my dog stops growling, lays down, and falls back asleep. That was the one and only time she ever did anything like that in over a decade that we had her. It still freaks me out to this day. Ugh. Oof.
Wow.
Oof. That's creepy. So were these shadows squatch? Were they spiritual? I don't know. We don't know. But they were there. Even the dog responded.
Yeah.
That's creepy, huh?
Well, when the dog responds, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, I know. When the dog reacts, you know it's not just your imagination anymore.
You know, when my dog goes bark, 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 instead of, hey, I'll let you steal everything in the house if you make me a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, then it's time to sit up and take notice.
It's game on, yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So this one's called the blood-curdling scream.
Oh, boy.
Some friends and I were doing some night fishing on the James River. We're just sitting along the shoreline with a nice fire going, accompanied by the usual idle talk and a few beers, when suddenly everyone just stopped talking like a switch was flipped off. We were all staring across the river and felt as if someone or something was staring back. It was a really uneasy feeling to which some of the group tried to shake off with the typical macho humor when a blood-curdling sound erupted from the other side of the shore that froze everyone in their tracks. The sound was unlike any other that I had ever heard, and it made every hair on my body vibrate and tingle. The only way I can describe it is it sounded like a wild person with no language skills being gutted alive. No words, just this high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. Nobody moved or said a word. We all just sat there fixed in our stare when just as suddenly a second scream was let loose with even more force than the first. By this time, several of us were sprinting to our trucks that were parked within 20 or 30 feet and retrieving various firearms. And we all sat there quietly with our eyes fixed, staring towards the opposite shore, waiting for the light from our fire reflecting off the rocks. And hours later, we packed it up and left, feeling very unsettled. We never did figure that out or even hazard a guess as to what was on that opposite bank.
Wow.
That's just got to be horrible to see. You're sitting there staring at a blanket of darkness and a blood-curdling scream comes out of it. Oh, you know, that's where you just really wish you had, like, you know, that FLIR vision or something. You could look past that darkness and see what the hell's going on. That's got to be a horrible feeling.
That would scare me. That would freak me out on the legit.
Oh,
Seriously.
yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah, that's a game changer right there.
GTFO?
Yeah, that's a GTFO, yeah. This one's me and my eldest son took off to the lake in the wilds of Glacier Country. I have extensive backpacking exposure and even did a stint as a big game guide in a remote backcountry camp. And on this day, we enjoyed the fishing and settled in for the night. I pulled out my pan and stoked up a nice fire, and it was clear and cool as the sun faded into the western slopes. We cooked up some fresh rainbows with garlic and butter, filled our stomachs, and we leaned against the cooler after pulling out a refreshing beverage. The boy was soon asleep by the fire as it had been a busy day. I sipped my beer and watched the moonlight bouncing off the little waves in the lake. And there was a light glow on the western horizon where the sun had gone down, and I could see the outline of the mountain peaks towering over the little lake. I slowly faded off to sleep with the sound of the lake waves gently lapping on the rocks. I awoke with a start. The fire was out, the lantern was out too, the moon was gone, and it was pitch black. Something was wrong. The hair on the back of my neck stood straight out. I was paralyzed. I could hear my heart thumping as I strained to hear something in the bush. All was quiet. I had a horribly uneasy feeling, and I gathered myself together and started kicking around the fire, and a small flame came alive, and I quickly threw on some wood. In the firelight, I could see that the boy had awoken and was shocked to see his wide-open eyes staring at me. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing. Go climb into the tent," I lied. He crawled into the tent, but even with the glint of the fire, I couldn't shake my wariness. Something was out there in the bush, and I could feel it was watching me. I gathered up my light and flashed around camp. Nothing. Finally, I began to calm down and crawled into the tent with the boy. Then again, like clockwork, I awoke completely tense, and this time I couldn't shake the feeling at all. I finally instructed the boy to wake up and get to the truck. I packed up all of the camp and drove around to the other side of the lake and slept with him in the truck. At dawn, I got up and looked across the lake to where we were camped earlier, and another uneasy feeling came over me, and I decided it was time to go home. I don't know what was out there or what was going on over there, but I know my instincts, and something was bad wrong with that place. Whatever it was, I will leave it to your imagination. It creeps me out to this day thinking about that night.
Where was there an idea of where this was?
Nope.
Wow.
Glacier Country, wherever Glacier Country is.
Well, that could be Montana.
Yeah, it sure could be, which would make sense. I can tell you that uneasy feeling.
Yes.
Well, very wild, though.
It's funny you mentioned, as you were mentioning rainbows with garlic and butter.
Yeah.
They were talking about pheasant poppers in the shot.
Oh, okay.
Like a pheasant stuffed with jalapeno and cream cheese, and then wrapped in bacon and then smoked.
Okay, well, if we were doing a Food Network show, that'd be fascinating.
That's food porn.
It was early in the morning on around 2 or 3 a.m., and I was in a very open area waiting for my boss to return with some equipment. And as I was waiting, I got the feeling like I was being watched by something that didn't want me there and had some intent on harming me. I stood up and looked around, and the moon was very bright that night, and I could clearly see all the way to the tree lines, probably 50 yards on both sides of me. Nothing around. I calmed down a bit and took my pack off my back to get my drink out. As I opened my drink, I hear this whoosh, whoosh, whoosh sound flying through the air from behind me. It was like the sound that a stick makes if you throw it overhand. I literally dove out of the way with my bag falling to the ground and my drink flying through the air, spilling as I jumped away. And I recovered from my diving experience to take my radio out of the bag to radio my boss. I go, I'm not trying to freak you out or anything, but I'm on my way back to the shop, and I just had something thrown at me. As I'm talking to him, I'm looking around on the snowy ground for anything that could have been hurled at me, and there was nothing on the ground but snow. I had no idea what the hell was going on at this point. His reply of, I've already got a head start on you, I'll see you there, sounded out of breath like he was running. I gather my stuff and start hauling my butt back to the shop. I get back, meet up with the boss, and he's pacing back and forth in our shop freaking out. I get him to calm down, and he tells me that he was on his way back up to me when he got the same feeling I got before something got thrown at me. And he said after he got the feeling, he stopped to look around and heard something clearly two-legged start walking towards him, barely crunching in the snow. And then he said it started running at him, but there was nothing in sight. And all of the sounds of movement stopped, and he froze to listen for more sounds. Then he said a hot breath was hitting the back of his neck, and he proceeded to freak out. He said he ran the whole way back to the shop, and about halfway back is when he heard me on the radio. The crazy part about this whole thing is that the area where we were working has several burial mounds in the woods from Native Americans, and apparently there was also used to be an altar of some kind made out of stone that was buried during a construction project a few decades ago. Wow, way to honor the past. Well, they kind of had it coming then, didn't they?
Yeah,
All right, well, this is the last story. It says, my brothers and I were camping at this primitive campsite in West Texas, and it was about 12:30 at night, and we start hearing this very faint opera music in the forest around us. After heating up SpaghettiOs in our fire, we noped the hell out of there and hiked like 6 miles by moonlight back to our truck and drove home. It was like it was following us because we heard it all the way to about a mile away from the parking lot. The reason it was creepy was because when we got to our campsite, a park ranger told us we were lucky to be the only people for miles around because of how peaceful it was. He said there was nobody else there.
Opera music?
Yeah, that'll get you going.
Hey, guess what time it is?
It's hump day's evening time, and it's time to close the show, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That worked out perfectly, if I do say so myself.
It did.
That was a lovely correlation of fantastical events.
I have to say, though, that, that's not exactly my choice of camping food.
Well, that's SpaghettiOs. I don't even think that qualifies as food, to be honest with you.
No, it's not.
It's like chemical rings and some tomato-y looking sauce.
I was on the way to work, and I was like, I didn't get any food to eat for lunch. So I stopped at the store, and what I get? Mini raviolis.
Oh, those are not much better.
I know, but they taste so much better.
It's like, it's not even really meat. It's like this paste.
Yeah, it's like thickened pink slime.
It's like you can swallow them like a boa constrictor. You don't even have to chew them. You just
they got the rip top, they got the tear tops on them now. They got the ring, and you pull it out, and you just spoon, can, eat. No heating them up.
Yeah, there's not that heat's going to help much either. I used to love those things when I was little, but they're really just garbage.
I still like them.
But they're just garbage. You know
what did I have? Weenies and Franks, or Franks and What was it? I don't
I don't
remember.
know.
Oh God, it was disgusting.
Well, it's
But I still love my raviolis.
I can agree that, sometimes that garbage food is fine, but I mean, it just bugs me when I eat it because you don't even feel good afterwards. It just feels like there's just a chunk of crap in your stomach that your body's trying to figure out, what do I do with this?
What is this? You confounded me.
I think it's already poop. Let's just move it on.
Just wave it on by. Just wave it on by.
Move along. Just move it right to the tailpipe.
Just go straight to the colon. Don't stop.
Yeah, the intestine's like, we can't do nothing with this. Come on,
What the
come
hell
on.
is it? What the hell is this? Beep. It's already there. Just send it.
Oh, thank you, Taco. Appreciate it. We are thrilled to always be here, giving you guys the best show we know how to give you. We hope you are feeling at least mildly entertained.
I know.
That's always our agenda. Yeah, I mean, I'm entertained. I'm always entertained when we do the show, especially when you're here with me. It makes it so much more lovely.
And a big shout out to Lady Naga and Mr. Naga.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Thanks
Ward.
for remembering
I haven't
us.
seen you in a while, yeah.
I know. We thought you forgot our URL or something. But we're glad you're back. Whatever you've been doing.
Address.
Our web address. Yeah, it's great to see everybody. Thank you to all the new faces that found us tonight. Thank you to our familiar faces who've always been here. Weird Stories, it's wonderful to meet you.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Yep.
We hope you'll come back. And to everybody, Rachel gets it right. Good to see you, Kathy. Pharmacy, Belle, Marilena, and Lady Naga, MCAT, Justin, Cha-Cha, Mog, Cannabis Resolution.
Who is that?
That's our friend Naysay.
Is that Naysay?
Is that these?
You don't say.
Is that
It's
these?
Naysay.
Naysay.
It's a Naysay.
It's a Naysay, but
you go.
it's what they say anyway.
Night Aussie Tiger.
All right,
Kathy
guys.
Spencer Bomber. Bye.
That's gonna do it for us. Thank you guys so much. I'll be back tomorrow night with some night terrors for you.
Mr. Crazy over there.
7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 days a week, right here on YouTube. I'm bringing you a show. Don is here Wednesdays and Saturdays. We'll have to see what we can do about getting him here on Fridays too, but for now, he comes when he can. So we love it when he's here, and we hope you'll be here with us as well. So
And shout out to Taco and Justin and MCAT.
yes, sir.
You are our special guests tonight.
You guys are amazing. Thank you for the gifts of helping us out. That is awesome. There's it's a labor of love, the portal is, but it's not a cheap labor. So anything you guys can do
It's
is
like
help.
giving birth. It's sometimes painful, but being with you folks makes it all better.
It does
It's
help.
like a big old epidural right in the spine.
That's right. Big old epidural. All right. Well, with that, ladies and
Wow.
gentlemen, thank you all so much.
Tired.
We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And we'll
No,
be
we had no beaks tonight.
no beaks.
No beaks.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.